In 1998, a 24-year-old woman named Monica Lewinsky became one of the most famous people on the planet, literally overnight. Her name was everywhere, every TV screen, every newspaper, and on the lips of millions. She was at the heart of a political earthquake that would shake the American presidency and lead to the impeachment of Bill Clinton. With that level of global fame, a fame that's still instantly recognizable today, you'd assume she's living the life of a multimillionaire, right? You'd picture a sprawling mansion, a string of businesses, and a net worth with a whole lot of zeros. Well, you'd be wrong. Monica Lewinsky is a name known by millions, but her actual fortune is shockingly small for someone so famous. In this video, we're not just going to reveal that surprisingly low number. We're going to uncover the deeply compelling, often painful, and ultimately inspiring story of why the woman at the center of a global scandal isn't living like a celebrity millionaire. Her financial journey isn't a story of cashing in on fame. It's a story of surviving it. It's a story of staggering debt, lost opportunities, and a decades-long fight to reclaim her name, her identity, and her financial footing. And trust us, the final number is going to shock you. To really get why Monica Lewinsky's financial situation is what it is today, we have to go back. Back to the late 1990s, a time that feels like a different century but also strangely familiar. This was a world right before social media as we know it, but it was the perfect breeding ground for the first truly global internet scandal. The story didn't just break, it detonated, with new online outlets like the Drudge Report fanning the flames of a traditional media inferno. Before she was a headline, Monica Lewinsky was a young woman with a future. She grew up in a comfortable Beverly Hills home, graduated from college, and like a lot of ambitious young people, headed to Washington, D.C. to make her mark. In 1995, at just 22 years old, she landed a highly sought-after unpaid internship in the White House Chief of Staff's office. It was here, in the most powerful building on Earth, that her life would be changed forever. Her affair with President Bill Clinton, a man more than twice her age, started that year. But this private relationship became public in the most explosive way possible. It got tangled up in the Paula Jones sexual harassment lawsuit against the president. When her supposed friend, Linda Tripp, handed over secretly recorded tapes of their conversations to independent counsel Ken Starr, the fuse was lit. In January 1998, the world exploded. Monica, at 24, was no longer a private citizen. She was that woman, a face and a caricature plastered across the globe. She was ridiculed, slut-shamed, and subjected to a level of scrutiny that was breathtaking. The power imbalance was insane. A young former intern against the entire U.S. government and a ravenous global media. As she later put it, she was patient. Zero of losing your reputation on a global scale almost overnight. This public branding wasn't just emotionally crushing. It was the start of a financial ruin that would take her decades to climb out of. The whole world knew her name, but the price of that fame was a debt that was so much more than just money. The second the scandal broke, Monica Lewinsky's life became a terrifying storm of legal and financial pressure. This wasn't just bad press. It was a full-blown constitutional crisis, and she was stuck in the middle. The financial fallout was immediate and catastrophic. To understand her net worth today, you first have to understand the mountain of debt she was buried under, before she even had a chance to earn a real paycheck. The biggest burden? Her legal defense. She was a key figure in a massive federal investigation that had unlimited resources. Defending yourself against that takes a team of incredibly expensive lawyers. She later revealed that her legal bills, just to navigate the legal maze she'd been thrown into, ended up costing her and her family around $1 million. A 24-year-old with no real savings was facing $1 million bill. She had hoped for some kind of financial help, but a federal court rejected her request for the government to help pay her attorney's fees. It was a brutal lesson. There was no safety net. She was completely on her own. This experience, she later said, was another way she felt stripped of any sense of justice. A feeling that there was one set of rules for the powerful and a much harsher set for her. Beyond the lawyers, there was the cost of just staying safe. Her fame came with paparazzi camped outside her door 24/7 and real threats, making personal security a necessity. Then there was the public shaming, which had a direct and devastating impact on her future. President Clinton looked into the camera and delivered that infamous line, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky." That one sentence branded her as a liar and a homewrecker in the public mind. She became a punchline. This brand made her completely unemployable. While Clinton finished his term and went on to make millions from speeches and his global foundation, Lewinsky was left in the wreckage. The scandal led to Clinton's impeachment, and the whole process cemented her as the toxic center of the drama. She wasn't just famous, she was infamous. And in the late 90s, that kind of infamy was a financial death sentence. The hole was dug, it was deep, and it was over $1 million in debt before her new life had even started. Facing a mountain of debt, Monica Lewinsky had to find a way to make money, but her options were terrible. Her specific kind of fame was radioactive. Every time she tried to earn a living, the media framed it as her cashing in on the scandal. But the truth is, she just had staggering bills to pay. Her first moves weren't about getting rich, they were about pure financial survival. Her first big move was telling her side of the story. She worked with Andrew Morton, the same author behind Princess Diana's bombshell biography, for the book Monica's Story. She got a reported $500,000 advance. Now, $500,000 sounds amazing, but in her reality, it was just a drop in the bucket. After taxes and agent fees, a huge chunk went straight to her lawyers. It was a big help, but it didn't even get her out of debt. Next came the TV interview that everyone watched. In March 1999, she sat down with Barbara Walters for a 2020 special. An incredible 70 million people tuned in. By selling the international rights to that interview, she earned another $1 million. Combined with the book deal, she had finally made enough to cover her legal fees. But the cost was immense. She had to share the most painful details of her life with the entire world just to get back to zero. With the lawyers paid off, she tried to find a more normal path. In 2000, she signed a $1 million endorsement deal with the diet company Jenny Craig, but this backfired badly. The company faced a huge public backlash for working with her, and the deal was cut short. She walked away with only a fraction of the money, reportedly around $300,000. It was a harsh lesson. Even when she tried to play the celebrity game, her past made her a liability. She tried other things, too. She launched a line of handbags and even did a few sketches on Saturday Night Live. These were real attempts to build a career, to be known for something other than the scandal. But the shadow of 1998 followed her everywhere. She was in an impossible spot. Criticized if she disappeared, but slammed if she tried to have a public life. It was becoming clear that a normal life and a normal career just wasn't going to happen in the United States. She needed to get away. After the book, the interview, and the failed deals, Monica Lewinsky basically vanished. From the early 2000s until 2014, she entered what you could call her wilderness years. This was a deliberate retreat from a world that wouldn't let her move on. This decade is a huge piece of the puzzle to understanding her modest net worth. While other famous people were building brands and growing their wealth, Lewinsky was actively trying not to be famous. The reason she left was simple. She was unemployable. She was turned down for job after job in communications and marketing, roles she was perfectly qualified for. Employers were interested in her resume, but the history attached to her name was just too big of a risk. Imagine being one of the most recognizable people on Earth, but you can't get a job because of the very thing that made you famous. So, to escape it all, she moved to London. In 2005, she enrolled at the prestigious London School of Economics to get a master's degree in social psychology. This was her trying to redefine herself, not as a media figure, but as a serious academic. She graduated in 2006. This period was a huge investment in herself, but it wasn't making her any money. For nearly 10 years, her income was basically zero. She was living quietly, studying, and trying to heal from the trauma of it all. While the world moved on, the financial damage of her past remained. She wasn't building a stock portfolio. She was just trying to build a life piece by piece, far away from the spotlight. This lost decade is a primary reason her net worth stalled. She chose dignity over dollars, a choice that was essential for her survival, but one that came with a huge financial price tag. For almost a decade, the world heard nothing from Monica Lewinsky. Then, in 2014, she came back. But this time, it was on her own terms. She returned with a powerful, smart, and self-written essay that marked the beginning of her second act, a masterclass in taking back your own story. The turning point was a stunningly honest essay for Vanity Fair called Shame and Survival. In her own words, she finally took control. She wrote about the lasting effects of public humiliation in the internet age, and with years of perspective, she reframed the events of 1998. It wasn't an affair between equals, she argued. It was a relationship with a massive abuse of power. The essay was a sensation and showed the world a different Monica, intelligent, insightful, and incredibly resilient. This was the foundation of her new career. Building on that, she gave a powerful TED Talk in 2015 called The Price of Shame. The speech, viewed millions of times, connected her story to the growing crisis of cyberbullying. She brilliantly repositioned herself not as a victim of a political scandal, but as a leading advocate against the culture of public shaming she had survived. This was the pivot. Her greatest liability, her past, became her greatest asset. She was no longer Monica Lewinsky, the former intern. She was Monica Lewinsky, the anti-bullying activist. This new identity opened up a real, respectable way to make a living: public speaking. Corporations and universities were now willing to pay her to talk about resilience and surviving public shame. This was a world away from the awkward diet deals of her past. She was now being paid for her wisdom, not just her name. For the first time, she was able to monetize her story in a way that felt right, creating a career that was both financially sustainable and personally meaningful. This was the start of her slow but steady financial recovery. By the 2020s, Monica Lewinsky's transformation was nearly complete. She then took the next logical step, moving from an advocate who tells her story to a media producer who shapes how important stories are told. This marks a new level of professional and financial maturity. A huge moment was her role as a producer on the 2021 FX series Impeachment: American Crime Story. This was a TV drama about the very events that nearly destroyed her. But this time, she had power. With a producer credit, she had real creative influence. She consulted on every script to make sure her perspective was shown with accuracy and nuance. She famously insisted that even embarrassing moments be included to show the full, honest story. This wasn't just a title. It came with a producer's fee and, more importantly, the power to control her own narrative. She then executive produced the HBO Max documentary, 15 Minutes of Shame, expanding her focus to cancel culture and modern internet fame. And in a true full-circle moment, she returned to brand partnerships. In 2024, she became the face of a campaign for the fashion brand Reformation. The campaign, You've Got the Power, cleverly linked power dressing with encouraging people to vote. Think about the difference. 20 years ago, her fame was toxic to brands. Now, Brands seek her out because of her story of resilience. The journey continued in 2025 with the launch of her own podcast, Reclaiming with Monica Lewinsky. This venture places her squarely in the creator economy. It's the ultimate reclamation. She's no longer the subject of the story being told by others. She's the one holding the microphone. So after this incredibly long journey, from a global scandal and crushing debt, through a decade of silence, to a comeback as an advocate and producer, we get to the big question. What is Monica Lewinsky's net worth today at 51? According to the most reliable financial sources, as of 2025, Monica Lewinsky's net worth is estimated to be between $1.5 million and $2 million. Let that number sink in. For a woman with near-universal name recognition, her fortune is incredibly modest. It's a comfortable amount, for sure, but it's not even in the same universe as celebrity wealth. Now, you might see some wild claims online. A few sketchy sources have thrown out numbers as high as $50 million. But these are not backed up by any reputable reporting and should be taken with a huge grain of salt. The consensus from outlets that do their homework is firm. It's about $1.5 to $2 million. So why is it so low compared to her fame? The answer is in the story we just told. First, she started out $1 million in the hole. Second, she had a lost decade where her earning potential was basically zero. And third, her path back has been slow and deliberate. She famously turned down multi-million-dollar offers in the early days because they didn't feel right, choosing her integrity over a quick payday. Her income today is built on respectable but not wildly lucrative work: public speaking, writing, and production. Fees. Her wealth wasn't built on celebrity. It was rebuilt, brick by painful brick, from the ashes of public ruin. Monica Lewinsky's financial story isn't your typical celebrity net worth video. It's not a list of blockbuster deals and smart investments. Instead, it's one of the most powerful stories of resilience and reinvention out there. Her modest net worth isn't a sign of failure. It's a receipt, proving the staggering price of public shame and how incredibly hard it is to reclaim your life after a global scandal. She survived being patient zero of the internet shaming era and over 2 decades turned herself from a punchline into a powerful voice. She chose a path of dignity, even when easier, richer paths were available. Her journey shows that the cost of a scandal like hers isn't just emotional, it's a deep and lasting financial weight that can take a lifetime to climb out from under. At 51, Monica Lewinsky may not have the net worth of a superstar, but she has something far more valuable: a reclaimed narrative, a respected voice, and a story of survival that is truly inspiring. If you found this story of resilience as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind the headlines. And let us know in the comments what you think about Monica Lewinsky's incredible journey. We read all of them.